Okay, what we're going to do now is refactor our code to make use of this new unit of work. And what we'll do, we'll just take a look at the different errors that we have now in our application, and we'll just click on these and fix them all in one go. So we're going to start off in the likes controller. And what we'll do is we'll come up to where we're injecting the repositories. We've got two that we're injecting in here that we don't need anymore. So we'll remove these. And instead of injecting these, we'll inject the unit of work, and we'll call it unit of work, and we'll initialize the field from parameter, and we'll remove the fields inside here. And what we want to do here is, to make it quick and easy, if you're on a Mac, it's Shift Command and L to select everything that matches what I've selected here. If you're on Windows, I believe it's Shift, Control and L. And this will select all the instances in here of the user repository. And then we can just overwrite this with unit of work, and we can say user repository, and then we get our user by name async. And then we could just do the same with the likes repository, Shift Command L or Shift Control L, and we'll say unit of work, and we'll say likes repository, as this is where we're getting our repositories from now, from the unit of work. And then we can come down to the save all async, and I'll just highlight all of this and Shift Command L, and we'll say complete. And we should be good in this controller now. So that's the first one taken care of, and we're down to 9. So we'll go to our message repository next, or our messages controller. And inside here, what we'll also do is we'll remove this method for the getting of the message thread, as we're not using this anymore. So let's remove this. We've got this functionality inside our Signal R hub, and we're using the other messages, but it's significantly smaller now. And what we'll do is we'll just do the same thing. We're going to remove the two repositories that we're injecting here. So we don't need the user repository or the message repository, and I can bring all of this up as well. And then what we can do is inject the unit of work and call it unit of work, and we'll initialize the field from parameter and just remove the fields that we're not using here. And once again, Shift Command L or Shift Control L, and we'll say unit of work, and this was for the message repository. And if we scroll on down, then we've only got one more change to make in here, and we'll just say complete. And this one looks good. So let's go to our errors, and we've got our user repository next. And once again, we're just going to do exactly the same thing, and I'm just going to do the same thing again. Our unit of work, call it unit of work, and initialize the field from parameter, and remove the repository there, and just Shift Command L, and we'll say unit of work dot user repository, and then we'll just find our save changes method, and I'll just highlight this, and just in case there's any more, I'll just Shift Command L, and we'll say complete, and make sure there's no errors in here. And now we're down to 4 errors. What have we got left? We've got our user repository, and we've got our message repository. We need to do something a bit extra in the message repository. So what we'll do is scroll up to the top. We've got our message repository in here, and inside our message hub we've also got the user repository, and we'll replace both of these, and we'll add in our unit of work, and we'll call it unit of work, and we'll initialize the field from parameter and remove our 2 repositories that we don't need anymore in here. So let's just do the same trick again. Command Shift L, and we'll go unit of work and message repository, and we've also got our user repository, so same again, unit of work and user repository, and we've also got our save all async, which will change to complete, and we've also got it here as well. and down there. So I'll just do the Shift Command and L and we'll say complete. And this one looks good. And we're down to one error, so let's take a look. And we've got our iUser repository again, but this time we're in our log user activity. So once again, we're just going to get the unit of work service, and we'll change repo for UOW, and we'll say UOW and get user by ID, and that should be user repository, and then we can just change this for UOW.complete. And one more thing to do in here as well, we'll also set this to UTC now to be consistent with our other dates in the app. So not tremendously exciting refactoring the code, but we're down to 0 errors. And just one more thing I want to look at before we leave this particular section. Let's go to our message repository. And inside here in the getMessageThread method, we're going to do something with this method soon anyway. But we don't want to save our changes inside here, because that's not the repository's job, that's the unit of work's job. So we'll keep this as it is. We'll still check for any unread messages, but what we'll do when we return this message thread, we'll go back to our message hub, and inside here what we'll do when we're getting the message thread, and where are we? We'll go up to the onConnected async method. So we're going to get our messages. If any of the unread messages have been checked inside there to say update to date read, then what we'll do is we'll say if, and we'll say unit of work, and we'll say has changes. Then we're going to say await, and we'll say unit of work complete inside here. So we're still getting our messages. And inside our message repository, if they haven't been read by the recipient, then we're going to mark them as read inside there, but we're coming back here to check to see if there's any changes, and if there are, then we're going to save the changes back to the database. So now we've got the unit of work pattern implemented, we really should go back and check to make sure that our application is still working, and it appears to be fine in my case. Just make sure there's no errors in the console and my application's been restarting. So we'll need to restart the browser anyway, and we'll just take a look around, make sure there's no problems, and yeah, that looks fine. So now we've got that implemented, what we're going to do next is take a look at our queries that we're making to our database and see if there's something we can do to improve them.